Well, good morning, everybody. What a pleasure it is to be back. We are here at Portimao, and after several months, it was October where we last ran in the International GTOpen Championship for the final round at Barcelona, crowning Team Oregon as champions, obviously with that of Benji Hites and Leonardo Polcini. But now it's time for a new chapter with certainly some of the greatest drivers you'll see in GT racing, not to mention the closest grids you'll see, and also a superb number of cars, 33 cars racing here this weekend in a new era for GTOpen. And also we're celebrating a 25th anniversary of the GT Sport organisation, and we hope you'll join us and celebrate with us as we race again, this time at the Algarve Street Circuit. My name is, of course, George Morgan, joining me here under the sunshine, the blissful sunshine here at the Algarve. Welcome, Chris Stevens.
Thanks, George. I mean, how excited I am to be here. I cannot put it into words. 33 cars, 10 pro entries as well. It's a pretty stacked field with some of the best teams and drivers in GT racing, some of the best cars as well. We've got new machinery here, the Ferrari 296 from Racing One as well. That has been drawing an awful lot of attention. It's the latest generation of GT3 car from Ferrari that's made its debut this year. Still plenty of the old 488 as well. We're expecting to see the new 992 Porsche GT3 car as well later in the year. We've got the 991.2 out with line speed for now. And of course, Lamborghini introducing their latest evolution of the Huracan as well. Plenty to be excited about.
Yeah, and also lots to be excited about in terms of the team introductions. Obviously, we said 33 cars lined up for round one here at Portimao with 7 brands. The Aston Martin, Audi, Ferrari, Lamborghini, McLaren, Mercedes and Porsche conglomerates joining us here for the first round of the championship. Great to have them here as well. And here is the Elim Racing Ferrari returning once again to the AM Championship. That, of course, being Christian Kozlowski, being joined as well by famed Stanislav Jedlinski, and as a 2-part Olymp team, because they have got Karol Bash and Marcin Jedlinski back as well. But they're not driving an Audi this season, Chris. They're bringing out the big guns. They're bringing out the Mercedes AMG GT3. Incredible.
Been a very intense testing program for them, looking at the Ferrari, the Audi and the Mercedes, at a number of different circuits as well. So they've certainly done their homework. They've settled on the Ferrari for the number 5 entry we were just looking at, and of course the Mercedes that you mentioned for their sister car. Plenty of new entries as well, like this number 84 McLaren. I say, well, new-ish. It did a couple of outings last year, but a full season entry, it looks like, for altitude racing here. And of course, now at the bottom of the screen, Luca Engsler for the Engsler Motorsport team that was fastest in practice yesterday.
Yeah, you can't miss it. Just look for the big liquid moly on the side of it, and you will certainly see it. We just saw there the Greystone GT as well.
There it is. It's also one of only 2 Audis in the field, so pretty easy to spot. But obviously, at the moment, not quite going the pace that he was setting yesterday, and he's going to come out right in the way of the Get Speed Mercedes there.
Just a little moment, just a little moment. Yeah, and great. I mean, great to see the Get Speed back as well. Obviously, seeing them back in the midst. That, of course, being active off by Faisal Al-Zubair, Fabian Schiller, part of this grid order, as well as Engsler gets himself underway. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him, though, certainly being plonked in behind this Mercedes AMG GT3 as Adam Osaka crosses the line and immediately takes first fastest. And great to see him and Kiki Saknana back as well. Andrew Gilbert, second fastest. Marcos Seibert, of course, part of Moto Park. A little bit of a tie-up between these two as they make their way through Sector 1. You can imagine a few words being uttered while that was happening there.
He's had enough already. Just get that Mercedes out of the way. I want to get on with my qualifying lap. And I mean, in fairness, he kind of put himself behind it because he was going so slowly through the final corner. But it's okay. He's got through now, and he's half a second up on the provisional pole time. Well, quarter of a second now, because Christian Kozlowski's lowered the benchmark a little bit. Playing devil's advocate with the track limits here, getting the back end out of turn 7. And I know that Neo Santamaria, the race director, will not look favourably on drivers pushing the track limits.
Well, you don't want to fall out with her. I'll tell you that now.
No.
She's ruthless, is Neo Santamaria. But yes, Adam Osaka purple in the first sector and looking very strong indeed as well. Of course, alongside Kiki Saknana. Great to see them back again as well. as they look to contest here in the AM standings. Not to mention we've got other big names as well. David Fuminelli as well out in the mix too. And we've also got an exciting plethora of AF Corsa Ferraris in the mix too, and including the brand new, of course, Racing One have brought together the 296, which is great to see. And that, of course, making its grand debut in the GTOpen this season as well. There, of course, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. So it made its competitive debut in the Daytona 24 Hours earlier this year as Luca Engsler sets the provisional pole time of 1:42.453. But that Racing One Ferrari, certainly a lot of eyes on it. That car, brand new engine in it, same unit that is powering the Ferrari 499 hypercar as well, the 3-litre twin-turbo V6. So go back to a V6 after a number of years with a V8 engine in the 488, and 20% more aerodynamic downforce in that car compared to the 488, as well as a number of other changes.
Now, I tell you this now, Engsler not having the easiest of times of dodging all the traffic at the moment. He's had a lot of that, but has gone purple in the first two sectors. Kozanowski still out on top, of course, as part of that Olymp contingent. As now we're seeing more and more cars come through. Florian Scholze as well, representing Team GT, also out and about too. So we're seeing the Benaldi Lamborghini make its way through turn one. There is the Team GT, fourth fastest for Florian Scholze. And of course we got, as we alluded to, Marcos Sibert representing a motor park double team coming in this season. They did make a cameo appearance last season. Great to see them here as well. Obviously many will know them from the Euro Formula Open Championship, but now they're coming into roost. They've set up a separate base for GT3 racing, and they're racing here at the International GTO.
I mean, not just from Euro Formula, George, you know, they're a legendary team in junior single-seater racing, not least from the European Formula 3 days as well. So to have them setting up a GT team and racing in the International GTOpen as well, it's a mark of the quality of team you get in this championship.
Yeah, great to have certainly all these teams here with us, as well as we see David Fuminelli make his way around. Now, he has a great record in terms of first qualifying sessions. Karel Bash goes second fastest immediately. Can David Fuminelli go better than that? Goes first fastest already, Fuminelli. 1:42.347. I'm having flashbacks of Estoril last season.
So, of course, the Pro-Am runners, they can choose, you know, which driver they want in each qualifying session. Each driver has to do one of them, so whoever we see today, they'll do the second stint tomorrow. But of course, at least the Pro-Am teams with an interesting choice. When do they put their quick driver in the car? And clearly, the David Fuminelli is setting pace, and it means that we're not just limited to the pro cars that could be on overall pole position. A number of the Pro-Am teams could also take the outright pole position.
It was a regular fixture, actually, last season, where we did see a couple of Pro-Ams actually take the top end. Fuminelli being one of them, for example. Of course, doing it in the very first round of the season. Lewis Proctor, I can tell you he's gone fastest in the first sector as well. Yannick Mettler also improving, currently showing purple on a lap right now. Can he enlist a heavy blow towards the end of this session already, as we're now witnessing the 66 car coming through? Now, this is Yannick Mettler making his way down the stretch. Is this going to be enough to take the top spot? It certainly is, and he'll be pleased with that, certainly, as we now see Lewis Proctor make his way around the final corner, as well as part of a father-son duo. And he's going to be looking to try and take the top end himself. He goes second fastest. Great lap indeed from Lewis Proctor. Look at Fuminelli.
Yeah, wow, 2/10 up at the moment on Yannick Mettler's time. Reese Barr has put it onto the front row of the grid provisionally as well for the SBS Automotive. So two SBS run cars, 1 and 2 at the moment. Yannick Mettler running under the CBRX banner, but it is being run by SBS. And Fuminelli, backing out of that lap in the end, or had some sort of issue in the final sector there, because he was 4 seconds off in the end.
There was quite a bit of traffic around there. I do wonder perhaps he might have got caught up in some. 4.1 at the end of the lap, as we now see the cars make their way around. Great to see the cars back in action here this weekend. Of course, Optimum Motorsport returning as well this weekend. Remember, they fought for the title last year against that of Optimum Motors, against that of, should I say, the Oregon team. And they're here with a fresh livery, no longer the orange, it's red and black camo. Of course, Samuel Dahan in the driving seat of that one.
Now, of course, two drivers that we're not quite seeing out in this session yet are the two works drivers, as we go on board with the Get Speed Mercedes of Al Faisal Al Sabir. 10th up, and oh, Simon Reichert. So, right, now this is the other car I was going to talk about, because we have two works drivers, a Porsche works driver in the form of Richard Leeds and an Audi works driver in the form of Christopher Haase, who's riding with Simon Reichert in the East Talent Racing Audi.
Pairing,
and absolutely is. So we're going to see them out tomorrow. It's their teammate's job at the moment. Reichert's had an issue in the middle sector there, but Al-Zabir still up in the middle sector by 0.3 of a second. We see him seesawing at the wheel of that Mercedes-AMG GT3 through the penultimate corner. Hold your breath through the final turn here and keep it pinned as much as you dare. Don't run out too wide on the track limits and drive towards the line. And for the number 77 Mercedes, it is the front row for now.
Yep, second fastest for Al-Faisal Al-Zubair. They were very competitive in the races they won last season. Never forget their extremely brilliant run at Barcelona last year, where they came back as well. So now seeing, of course, the 23 Audi
that is the East Talent car.
That is the East Talent car. Yeah, there's Simon Reichert making his way through the next straight, obviously having a little issue in the middle sector, which turned out to be the precursor of a lap. He's going to go again, though. Yannick Mettler is improving again. Of course, currently holds the 142.024, came last season. There was a bit of debris falling off the car there, Chris.
Off the Ferrari behind, yeah. I didn't quite see which number that was before we went away from it, but yeah, it certainly went very wide on the exit of turn 4 there, and maybe just on the curbing. Took off some of the underbody work, but here's Yannick Mettler around the final corner again, almost 0.2 up on his provisional pole time at the moment. It's a 42.024 he's set at the moment, and that very crisp black Mercedes drives towards the line and doesn't improve in the end, so lost time in the final sector there.
Yeah, very uneasy final sector there for him. Reece Barr is finding improvements, though. First two sectors are currently showing green, currently green on his lap. And we'll have to keep our eyes peeled as to what he can enlist as he makes his way up towards the line. Obviously, still plenty more to come. Oh, dearie me. Now, that's Laurent de Meus, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the
Jamie Stanley
Ferraris.
Yeah, Jamie Stanley and Laurent de Meus off in the gravel. Of course, they donned that same livery last season. Oh, there we are. A little bit of the underfloor, I think, there. Just the bodywork underneath as he ran over the curbs.
Yeah,
might have got a little bit low to it, I think.
Yeah, that's the one we were looking at earlier. Obviously, now that is the Racing 1 296. Oh no, it isn't. Sorry, it's the other Racing 1.
It's the 488.
It's the 488. I did think it didn't look quite aggressive enough on the front end. So yeah, Racing 1 splitting their two cars between the 296 and the 488. 488 being the AM car, as Reece Barr now sets a fastest first sector. This is on board with the Lamborghini. Coming up towards the line is the Oregon team Lamborghini. And Maximilian Paul here, down in 18th at the moment, so very difficult qualifying session so far for the Oregon team.
Listen to the noise
sound
on
of that V10 is just gorgeous, isn't it? This is what I love about GT3 racing, the mix of different, the cacophony of engine noises you have between the V6s or the inline 6s, the V10s, the V8s. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Reece Barr very, very close to a pole position time here. David Fuminelli also running very well in the first sector. Just enjoying this onboard, Georgia.
Gorgeous sound. I mean, coming on a tour of it, this of course being the livery, and also not to mention the sound of a car that did go on to win the title last season. Oregon team have celebrated much success, and you know, they certainly have deserved it after their exquisite run. And going forward, I'm sure they'll be chasing a lot more as well. Obviously, Pier Giorgio Testa and Jenny Cannaviccio, always colourful characters in the paddock. Great to have them back as well this season, and as they look to pursue and chase and defend their title, as we now see more and more cars come across the line. Now, this is the East Talent Audi coming across, that of course being Simon Reichert. Agostini coming into the pits. Now, he's got an interesting teammate this season. He was fastest in that middle sector, though. He did actually set the fastest time so far in the middle sector. Interesting moment, but has come into the pits. But he is partnered up with the one, the only, Nicola Marinangeli for this season. Angeli did go on to race in Euro Formula last season, as we take a look at the Kessel Racing Ferrari.
Oh, so that's Fuminelli getting it all crossed up and through the gravel as they go up the hill. and that would maybe explain why the last lap time wasn't so hot. He's 5th fastest at the moment.
Here is Al Zubair, just getting moved into position in the pit lane. And here is Adam Osaka as well, partnered once again with Kiki Saknana, the Thailand drift star, of course, partnering Adam Osaka yet again as he did last season. Great to see them back too in their familiar Mercedes AMG GT3 in the colours of yellow as well as he makes his way through this next right. Of course, currently, in terms of the AM placement, currently sits 4th fastest in class at the moment. Behind that, Christian Korzanowski, who's once again putting on a stellar display in terms of qualifying with Andrea Montemini, a 2-time GTOpen champion, Andrea Montemini, and also a former Formula One driver as well, and has tested the Benetton, of course, back in 1994, the same year Michael Schumacher would go on to win the Formula One World Championship.
Yeah, I'd love to ask him a few questions about that car, particularly about how it felt in traction zones, but I mean, we all know the story at this point, so I'll maybe catch up with him a little bit later on. Luca Engstler here on a very good time in the Audi. 0.03 of a second away from a time. And of course, Luca Engstler, a name very familiar in the TCR world, has recently turned his hand to GT racing. And joining us in the International GT Open for the first time this year, and it's still 1/4 of a second away from provisional pole position. 13.5 minutes remain on the clock, and Engstler is 4th fastest at the moment. Still the Pro-Am car, though, of Yannick Mettler that's setting the benchmark time.
And this proves your point as well, that sometimes even the Pro-Ams can take the top spot, which certainly Yannick Mettler has shown and delivered that so far. And then we've got a sequence of pros in behind as well, with Al Zubair, Reece Barr, and Luca Engstler now as well joining that fray. Lewis Proctor now in 5th as well, of course, part of the Proctor father-son duo, and great to see them here as well. David Fumnelli and Luca Engstler actually going fastest of all in that first sector. Now, can he hook it up? Of course, needs to make his way down through towards Tor a bit very shortly. Will, of course, be making his way through the slalom sections before he heads up through Samsung now as well, through Craig Jones, and then through Portimao corner as well, down the hill. And he'll look to enlist a purple sector 2, shall I say, as well. Getting a little ahead of myself as we're now seeing the Audi make its way through this next stride. The familiar colours of the blue and red as it now speeds down through towards this next left, and very soon will make his way through this 90 degree, almost turning back on yourself. It's more than 90 degrees around this bend, and you need to pin it tight and then make your way through Sagres. You can just see they're using all the circuit, but not crossing that line, that vital white line, still holding on to purple as he heads out of the middle sector 2 as well. So he's got 2 final corners to come. Now the Gulp corner very, very shortly as well after Sagres. Great chance here now for Luca Engstler to unseat Yannick Mettler at the top of the screens here. 11 minutes and 50 still to go. The Audi now screams down the start-finish straight. Is it enough? No. It's a painful lap, unfortunately, just missing out in the final sector again, as now we're seeing the Oregon team come across the line as well. Can they improve their position as now we see them come through? Not quite. They remain as they are, but there we can see Marco Polcini as well, AF Corsa, very well squadded this season.
Yeah, I mean, that was a cracking effort there from Luca Engstler right up until that final sector, and he'll definitely be wanting to improve on that. Of course, only his 2nd year in GTs. Last year, he was racing with Audi again in the GT Masters and also the Dubai 24 Hours, and also did the Nürburgring 24 Hours in Porsche Cup car, and he is combining GT Open with an NLS campaign, as I understand it, as well this season. But multiple TCR champion, of course, so it's a very big name to have inside this championship. And look at that, we just saw on the graphic, 3 Mercedes in the top 3 at the moment. The fastest being Yannick Mettler in the Pro-Am CBRX by SBS.
Yeah, Luca Engstler as well, once again purple, but in the 2nd sector this time, out by 3.6. Oh. So struggling there as well. Maximilian Paul, who we're currently watching on our screens as well, currently sat 19th. And looking to try and enlist a better time, certainly for Team Oregon. We're coming down to the final 10 minutes as well very shortly, as we now watch Maximilian Paul make his way through this next left. And we're looking to try and advance his cause as well. And so coming in.
Well, this is looking much more competitive for Maximilian Paul. Only 1/4 of a second away from the provisional pole time at the moment for the number 63 Oregon Lamborghini Huracan. That is one of the Evo 2s that is debuting this year, actually. And it's an evolution, but he puts it inside the top 10 now, and that is a marked improvement. That Evo 2, by the way, it is just a number of small changes, particularly on that hood scoop. See that hexagonal hood scoop in there, as well as a few aerodynamic changes that have helped to improve the downforce on that car.
Yeah, great to see Maximilian Paul up in the top 10. Obviously, a look to continue and persevere here with 9 minutes and 30 still to go. Alfaz Al-Zubair, though, has taken the purple first sector already. He's gone over a tenth quicker in that point as well, so a great chance for him. Karel Bash also showing extremely good pace as well. Currently positioned P8 overall in the timely screens, and the fourth Pro-Am. Believe it or not, folks, the fourth Pro-Am currently in the top 10. So a great chance for him. Alfaz Al-Zubair, though, who you currently see on your screens, of course, representing the Get Speed team, all coated in white as he makes his way through. Here is, of course, the Karel Bash's new Mercedes AMG, no longer the Audi that they had last season. Karel Bash looking to deliver this time in the AMG as they make their way towards the line. Fourth fastest for Karel Bash, but what about Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, who has been showing time after time improvements through the middle sector as well, and has actually knocked off over 2.5 tenths of a second off the top time set by Yannick Mettler in the middle sector. Can Al-Faisal Al-Zubair go to the top here? He can! Takes P1 and a 141.890, and that goes over a tenth quicker than that of Yannick Mettler in second place.
Multiple race winner in this championship, of course, and that was with the Lechner Porsche, and indeed you would normally associate Al-Zubair with Porsches, having raced in Super Cup and Carrera Cup Germany and in the Middle Eastern Championship as well, so very synonymous with that brand, but of course that's been racing Mercedes since last year. Very much a switch there for him, and it's paying dividends at the moment because he's fastest.
It certainly is paying dividends. Christian Kozanowski into the top 10 as well. The AM driver in the top 10, P8 as well. Agostini also goes fifth fastest as well. So we're now witnessing the car. Of course, car number 55 as part of the AF Corsa contingent make its way up towards the line too. Of course, driven by the likes of, I believe it's driven by, currently on this occasion, Jamie Stanley, of course, driving it with Laurent de Meus. Karel Bash, incidentally, though, going fastest again, though, in the first and second sector. Fifth fastest, though, as Seabear now goes into third fastest. So Motor Park now in the top 3 as well. Karel Bash still, though, on the precipice of improving himself, because remember, he currently sits fifth fastest. Just ahead of him is Rhys Barr and Marcos Seabear now as well, who's in the top 3. Here comes Karel Bash. Can he usurp Al-Zubair in the final sector? The final sector is so crucial in terms of delta as he comes across the line. Can't improve despite the efforts in the first and second, but nonetheless getting closer, and he's the second Pro-Am currently in this timing screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Pro-Am being a championship in and of itself, as is the AM class. If you've not watched before, it is red for Pro, blue for Pro-Am, and green for Am. But look at Riccardo Agostini there in the 51 AF Corsa Ferrari, currently 3 tenths up on the provisional pole time set by Alfaz Al-Zubair. Let's see what he's got in this final sector.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Agostini, of course, stepping into this one alongside Nicola Marinangeli, has found more time in that second sector ahead of what was already a good, well, a hefty, brilliant first sector as well. We've got a plethora of AF Corsas now making their way through the final corners as well, running slightly wide on exit as well. There's Christian Kozanowski in the distance, a little piece flying off his car too, as we now see them all come across the line. And Agostini, unfortunately, not able to improve off that sixth fast again with that third sector, Chris.
I wonder if he's just being held up by his teammate here ever so slightly. He's backed out of it now. Of course, that's the number 27 car, which is it's a Pro-Am car ahead of him. But Yannick Mettler now looking to take that provisional pole back, and Sam de Haan in the Optima McLaren as well, the red Zebra, which we haven't seen yet. Also very quick in the first sector, but Yannick Mettler really showing his hand now, almost 4 tenths up on Al-Zubair's provisional pole time. 5.5 minutes remain in the session as he heads through the final sector.
Certainly does. Yannick Mettler, of course, who was originally leading this qualifying session at the very start, is now looking to come back again and deliver here for the Mercedes team. Now, currently, if you look at the screens, you've got Mercedes, Ps 1, 2, and 3, Zubair, Mettler, and Seabear, all representing the AMG. Can Mettler take his to the top, though, and unseat that, of course, Alfaisal Al-Zubair. Yannick Mettler across the line, first fastest for Mettler. Brilliant lap as well, just over a tenth faster than that of Alfaisal Al-Zubair. And that's the Pro-Am back to the top, Chris.
He's already had a pretty good start to the year, winning the Pro-Am class at the Kyalami 9-hour a few weeks ago, and currently on provisional pole once again for the Portimao opener in the GTOpen.
Yeah, looking very strong again. They delivered last season too, meaning him and Dexter Buller, of course, partnering him yet again this season. Great to have him back, and always a colourful character, Dexter Buller. Wonderful in the paddock. Sam Nahan has just gone 11th fastest as well for Optimum too. Of course, they were in that gargantuan title fight, as we alluded to last season, for the overall championship, in what had to be said against any expectations, I think, of many. Obviously, having the likes of Nick Moss in the team for that season alongside Jamie Osborne, it certainly delivered a clinic. And now, once again, we're going to be seeing, I think, an even tighter affair at the top, I think, with even more cars in the fight for this season's championship.
Great to have Sam Nahan back in the championship as well.
Oh, Fuminelli.
Oh, wow. Fuminelli out of nowhere, banking in the purple sectors here. We've got two Pro-Am cars on the front row now, but David Fuminelli in the number 11 Kessel Ferrari really showing his hand once again. And as we were saying at the beginning of the session, George, this was an all too familiar sight last year.
Yeah, it goes back to Estoril at the first round, and of course I remember when Fuminelli took the top spot, and it was really a clutch performance, almost the same time, exactly the same time as when he did it last season, and has nearly gone 2/10 fastest in that position as well, obviously ahead of Yannick Mettler, fellow Pro-Am category racer. Of course, now a 1:41.5 is the time to beat. Agostini showing improvements in that first sector as well. Looking to get closer and closer and closer. Obviously alongside Adam Nicola Marinangeli, as I alluded to this season as well. Looks like Karel Bash is in the pits. Not sure whether he's going to come back out again. Obviously, we've still got only 3 minutes to go here in this session. If they want to go out and set one more lap, now is the time. We've also got Lewis Proctor in the pits as well. Maximilian Paul is in the pits too. David Fuminelli, incidentally, went fastest again in that first sector, knocking off even more time. He's absolutely relentless out there, out on track, as now he makes his way through the final sector. Now, lost a little bit of time in that middle sector, but it won't upset the balance of the top end. Runs very wide, though, on exit, and that will certainly put an end to that lap. But he could be putting... Maybe he'll come in. We're not sure. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled now as he heads up towards the line. No, he's going to stay out. He's going to go for one last lap, surely. Well, he might get two out of this.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
If he keeps pushing, and if the tyres hold up, of course, as well. Don't want to overheat them. Track temperature has been pretty steady. The air temperature has definitely been rising. So if the tyres can hold on, then he can definitely get 2 more laps out of it.
Certainly can. SPS Performance Respar as well, coming up towards the line, third fastest for him as well in the silver arrows. Of course, familiar Mercedes colours, those of you will certainly recognise, as now we see Respar go third fastest, and in fact fastest of all the pros as well, up at the sharp end. Of course, just behind that of David Fuminelli and Yannick Mettler, so he'll take the second row. Obviously, we have rolling starts here in the International GTOpen. Al-Zubair alongside him as well. Marcos Seibert down in 5th. There is Alfaisal Al-Zubair now. Obviously not able to quite capture the top spot away from Fuminelli, at least for now, but we're keeping our eyes peeled on the timing screens, because who knows now, a lot can change in a minute and 30, Chris.
Oh, it certainly can. On board with the Get Speed Mercedes once again. This is Alfaisal Al-Zubair, so the man currently 4th fastest, and what can he do? Second year driving Mercedes on a consistent basis, as we mentioned earlier, and he's about 2/10 down on the time he needs for pole position at the moment. Because second of the pro runners as well now is Yannick Mettler, is once again looking to take that provisional pole time back with a purple first sector, but we stay on board with the Get Speed cars. He rounds turns 6 and 7, rising back up the hill, draws it right up towards the gravel, and here's the roller coaster that begins up the hill and down the hill and back up the hill again. Here's Respar.
Yeah, Respar, who's improving in the first sector. Not quite enough, though, to necessarily dribble the top end. Yannick Mettler losing time in that second sector, though, so that will usurp all the the efforts he did in that first sector in order to try and top the time set by Fuminelli. As now Respar, again, can't improve from third fastest, but he will not be disappointed, I am sure, by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, third place out of 33 cars, that is pretty good. As now we watch Yannick Mettler make his way down this next straight, you can just see how Faisal Al-Zubair just in front of him, as well as the SPS Automotive Performance car makes its way down the straight now. We'll open up the throttle yet again, as now the checkered flag comes down here in qualifying. Yannick Mettler now towards the line. Second fastest is where he stays. Can't quite unseat David Fuminelli, and certainly won't do. That's where he will at least remain for now. But Respar, I think, just got across the line before the checkered flag came down.
I'm pretty sure I saw sparks coming out of the front end of that Mercedes as it rounded the final corner. That's how much he was pushing, but not enough to usurp David Fuminelli's Ferrari from provisional pole position. And Respar, he is still on a lap, but it doesn't quite look like it's going to have to be a pretty mighty middle sector for him to improve on that third place spot. But Kessel certainly seems to think they've got it in the bag already. They're celebrating already, and now it's half a second down for Respar, so it does look like pole position has been secured for David Fuminelli.
Yeah, Respar also not quite showing improvements in the first and second sectors. Still more cars out on track as well, including the Il Baroni Rampante out on track as well. And Giuseppe Cipriani behind the wheel of that too. But what a lap from David Fuminelli. And I tell you what, harks back, as I said, I know I keep saying it, but yes, exactly last year, round one, Estoril. It was Fuminelli who took pole on that occasion. He's just done it again here in Portugal. I don't know, he must like the weather, I think, around here, but has still managed to enlist the top time. A 41.590 places him essentially on pole position. But of course we have rolling starts here in the International GTOpen. Front row alongside Yannick Mettler, who has delivered a sterling performance, and of course will be alongside Dexter Muller for when we go racing. Respar, of course, here with the Silver Arrow Mercedes back here in the GTOpen as well. Great to see the Mercedes back here as well, again in familiar colours as well, and lovely gradient of the logo on the rear too. We've got Faisal Al-Zubair currently sat in fourth. Marcos Seibert here in the GTOpen as well. Motor Park, I think, will be thrilled with that result too, as the cars all make their way into the pit lane. Great showing from Agostini as well, and also Nicola Marinangeli, because of course they represent the AF Corsa team essentially in this season. Their pro entry, of course, Marinangeli is going to be coming over to GT cars for his first season in the International GTOpen. A little different to single-seaters. Of course, we're seeing Pierre-Louis Chauvet doing the same thing.
Yep.
It's going to be intriguing to see how they get on when we go racing later.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be going up to David Fuminelli and seeing, what did you do on that lap then?
Yeah, it could well be. Here are the results, folks. David Fuminelli on pole position. P1 goes to him. Yannick Mettler in second. We'll join him on the front row. Respar in third. Faisal Al-Zubair in fourth. Marcos Seibert in fifth. Carol Bash in sixth. Ricardo Agostini in seventh, with Steve Jans in eighth as well. Luca Essler there in behind them as well. Lewis Proctor in 10th. Samuel Dahan in 11th. Christian Koznowski in 12th. Timo Rumpkiel in 13th. Maximilian Paul 14th. Andrea Montemini 15th. Adamo Seika in 16th. Simon Riker in 17th. Jamie Stanley 18th. When we got an interview, actually standing by, interview with David Fuminelli.
David,
we will have an interview standing by, folks. Do stay tuned in. We'll keep you posted when it comes through.
Fuminelli,
Here it is.
First poleman of the season in the International GTOpen. A lot of poles last year, and you start as you did last year.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. We started like we finished last year. Last year was a great season in qualifying with 5 pole position, and it's great because we struggled a little bit in the practice. Also, we started the program very late. It was a last-minute decision, so it's not going to be easy in the race. Frederick is doing a fantastic job, being, you know, first race weekend ever already in a championship, competitive and big like this. But I'm so happy because we work with Pietro, my engineer, and all the guys in Castle to have a performing car in qualifying. In the race, it's going to be tough because Mercedes and some other cars are better on the tire degradation, but we'll do our best, and it's happy to start again in the front.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard. Also, much larger grid, so good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. This year we have 33 cars on the grid with fantastic driver, fantastic teams, fantastic cars. So to be on pole, it's even, you know, a more rewarding achievement. So I'm so happy now. We just focus on the race and let's try to get the maximum.
So congratulations and all the best.
Thank you.
Well, there we are, all smiles for David Fuminelli, and of course we'll see how he gets on. Obviously, we tackles our first round of the International GT Open here at Portimao. We'll see you this afternoon.